Tonight, while you are getting ready for bed, more than 500,000 Americans will be searching for a doorway, a parking garage, or a patch of grass to sleep on. Veterans who served this country, grandmothers on fixed incomes, families who were doing fine until one layoff knocked everything over. And while politicians argue about whose fault it is, ordinary Americans decided they were done waiting. A college student in Detroit, a young dad with a used truck, a Hollywood producer, and church volunteers armed with crochet hooks all started building. These are 20 American inventions saving homeless lives right now. And number 12 is a machine that prints entire houses out of cement. Number 1, the EMPWR coat. In 2010, a design student named Veronica Scott sat in a classroom at the College for Creative Studies in Detroit and got a simple assignment: design something that fills a real need. So she did something most students never do. She walked into a homeless shelter and just listened. People told her they did not want charity blankets. They wanted something that kept them warm while they walked, while they looked for work, while they survived another brutal Michigan winter. So Veronica designed a heavy insulated coat that unzips and folds out into a full-length sleeping bag at night. But the invention was only half the story. A homeless woman stopped her outside the shelter and said she did not need a coat. She needed a job. That one sentence changed everything. Today, Veronica's nonprofit, the Empowerment Plan, has hired more than 90 formerly homeless women to sew those coats in a Detroit factory, and they have given away over 50,000 of them, completely free. An American college assignment turned into a factory staffed by the very people it was built to help. Number 2, pallet shelters. But a warm coat still leaves you sleeping on concrete. In Everett, Washington, a builder named Amy King looked at the tent camps spreading along the West Coast and asked a blunt question: why can we ship furniture across the country in flat boxes, but we cannot do the same with shelter? Her company, Pallet, now produces folding micro-shelters made from aluminum and composite panels that a small crew can assemble in under an hour with basic tools. Each unit has an insulated shell, a locking door, windows, and heat. Cities across the country, from Los Angeles to Seattle, have set up entire villages of them as a bridge between the sidewalk and permanent housing. And here is the part that gets me. Many of the people building these shelters on the factory floor have lived through homelessness, addiction, or prison themselves. They are building the door they wish someone had opened for them. Number 3, the EDAR cart. In Los Angeles, a successful film producer named Peter Samuelson used to bike past dozens of people sleeping in the open. Instead of looking away, he stopped and interviewed hundreds of them about what they actually needed. The answer became EDAR, which stands for Everyone Deserves a Roof. It looks like a sturdy, four-wheeled cart, and during the day that is exactly what it is, a secure place to carry your belongings. But at night, it unfolds into a raised sleeping platform with a waterproof cover, lifting a person up off the wet pavement. Hundreds of these units have rolled out across California. A man who spent his career producing movies decided his most important production would be a bed on wheels. Number 4, shower to the people. Now think about something we never talk about. How do you get hired for a job if you have not showered in 2 weeks? In St. Louis, a young father named Jake Austin bought a beat-up old box truck for about $5,000 and converted it into a rolling shower station with hot water, private stalls, fresh towels, soap, and shampoo. He parks it where homeless folks already gather, and people step out feeling like themselves again. Volunteers say the change is visible. Shoulders go back. People make eye contact again. Similar shower buses and trucks have since appeared in San Francisco, Nashville, New York, and dozens of other cities. Sometimes the best weapon against despair is plain hot water. Number 5, the laundry truck LA. Clean skin matters, but so do clean clothes. In Los Angeles, a nonprofit put commercial washers and dryers inside a truck and started offering free laundry service on the streets, complete with detergent and folding tables. That sounds small until you understand what dirty clothes actually cost someone. They cost job interviews. They cost bus rides where people move away from you. They cost the last shreds of confidence a person is holding on to. Volunteers wash, dry, and hand back warm folded clothes, and regulars say it is the 1 hour a week they feel taken care of. Sometimes mercy smells like fresh laundry. But clean clothes cannot fill an empty stomach at midnight. Number 6. The Little Free Pantry. In 2016, a woman named Jessica McClard installed a small wooden box on a post outside a church in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and stocked it with canned food, peanut butter, and toiletries. Take what you need, leave what you can. No forms, no ID, no questions, no judgment. That single box lit a fuse. Today, thousands of these little pantries and blessing boxes stand in front yards, churches, and schools across America, restocked quietly by neighbors, retirees, and kids doing service projects. A single mother walking home at midnight can open that box and feed her children without explaining herself to anyone. One woman, one box of nails, and an idea that spread from coast to coast. Number 7. Plarn sleeping mats. This next one might be the most beautifully American invention on this list because it was built almost entirely by grandmothers. Across the country, church groups and retirement communities collect plastic grocery bags, cut them into strips, and crochet them into something called plarn, plastic yarn. It takes around 500 to 700 bags to make one sleeping mat. The finished mats are waterproof, easy to wipe clean, and they insulate a sleeping body from cold, damp ground. Volunteers in their 70s and 80s sit in fellowship halls with crochet hooks, turning literal trash into something that keeps a stranger dry through the night. If you have ever wondered whether one person your age can still make a difference, there is your answer, and it costs nothing but time. Number 8. Bombas socks. When two New York entrepreneurs, David Heath and Randy Goldberg, learned that socks are the single most requested item at homeless shelters in America, they built an entire company around that one fact. For every pair of Bombas socks someone buys, one specially designed pair goes to a shelter, made with reinforced seams and darker colors that hold up to life on the street. The count has now passed 100 million donated items. Think about that. Something you and I lose in the dryer without a second thought is the number one thing a homeless person asks for, because wet, worn-out socks lead to infections, frostbite, and lost limbs. One simple fact, taken seriously, became 100 million small acts of protection. But socks only solve one problem below the ankles. The next invention solves a problem you cannot see. Number 9. Sofa solar benches. A dead phone is not an inconvenience when you are homeless. It is a wall between you and everything. You cannot call a shelter to check for an open bed. You cannot answer a callback about a job. You cannot dial your daughter's number. So in Boston, a team of engineers created Sofa, a park bench with a solar panel built into it, and free charging ports on the side. Cities across the Northeast have installed them in parks and squares, and anyone can sit down and plug in. No purchase required, no one checking who you are. If you are a parent or grandparent watching this, imagine your kid ending up on the street. A free charging port on a park bench could be the reason your phone rings. Number 10. The Samaritan app. You know that awkward moment at a stoplight, wanting to help someone holding a sign but not knowing how. A Seattle startup called Samaritan built an answer. Homeless individuals in the program carry a small Bluetooth beacon, and when you walk past with the app, your phone shows their real story and their real goals. A bus pass, Work boots, a birth certificate fee. You can give money that is spendable at partner grocery stores and pharmacies, and the whole thing is connected to counselors who check in on progress. Instead of a stranger with a cardboard sign, you see a name, a face, and a plan. Technology finally being used to make people more human to each other, not less. Number 11. Miracle messages. Now, this next invention is not made of metal or fabric. It started with a single question. A San Francisco man named Kevin Adler had an uncle who lived on the streets for 30 years. After his uncle passed away, Kevin started walking up to homeless people and asking, "Is there anyone you would like to reconnect with?" Then he records a short video message and his volunteers play detective, tracking down sisters, mothers, sons, and old friends through phone books and social media. The results will wreck you. Mothers who thought their sons were dead. Siblings separated for decades crying on video calls. Hundreds and hundreds of families reunited. And many of those reunions end with someone finally coming home. The organization even ran a program giving direct monthly cash to unhoused people, and most recipients used it on housing and food, exactly what the cynics said would never happen. It turns out the deadliest part of homelessness is not the cold. It is being forgotten. Number 12. Icon's 3D printed homes. And this is the machine I promised you at the start. In Austin, Texas, a company called Icon built a giant robotic printer named the Vulcan that squeezes out a special cement mixture layer by layer, drawing the walls of an entire house the way you would draw with a pencil. Crews then add the roof, windows, doors, and wiring. These printed homes have real plumbing, real electricity, and real addresses, and a whole row of them now stands inside a village for people coming out of chronic homelessness. Think about what a permanent address unlocks. You can receive mail, you can apply for jobs, you can register to vote. A machine in Texas is literally printing second chances out of cement. Now, before we get to number 13, let me pause for 1 minute, because some of you watching are not just curious about this topic. Some of you are living close to it. If money is tight right now, if you are one missed paycheck away from losing your place, or if someone you love is already out there, I put together a guide called the Veteran's Blueprint. It walks you through assistance programs almost nobody talks about, survival strategies for people starting with $0, and step-by-step moves you can make this week. Some of what is inside is too specific and too detailed to cover properly in a video, so I wrote it all down in one place instead. And despite the name, you do not need to be a veteran to use it. The link is in the description below. All right, back to the list. Number 13, Community First Village. Those printed homes from number 12 sit inside something even bigger. Outside Austin, a former real estate man named Alan Graham and his ministry, Mobile Loaves and Fishes, built an entire neighborhood for the chronically homeless. Tiny homes, RVs, gardens, a chapel, a medical clinic, an outdoor movie theater, and workshops where residents earn income making pottery and art. Hundreds of formerly homeless men and women live there today, paying modest rent, and the village is expanding toward nearly 2,000 homes. Alan's philosophy is printed on everything they do. Housing alone will never solve homelessness, but community will. Walk through that village, and you see people who spent decades under overpasses now watering tomato plants outside their own front doors. Number 14. The Block Project. In Seattle, an architect named Rex Holbein asked a question that makes most homeowners squirm. What if the solution to homelessness was your own backyard? His project builds beautiful, small, solar-powered homes, about the size of a large bedroom, in the backyards of ordinary Seattle families who volunteer to host a formerly homeless neighbor. The homes have a kitchenette, a bathroom, and a real front door, and the host families share driveways, dinners, and daily life with the person living there. It sounds radical until you hear the hosts talk. Most of them say the person in the backyard stopped being a project and became family. One city, one backyard at a time. Number 15. Conestoga huts. In Eugene, Oregon, volunteers looked at the covered wagons that carried American pioneers west and borrowed the shape. A Conestoga hut is a small wooden platform with an arched, insulated cover, a locking door, and room for a bed and belongings. Materials cost only a few $1,000s, and church groups and retirees can build one in a weekend with ordinary tools. The huts sit in small, managed communities with shared kitchens and rules, and for many residents, it is the first lockable door they have had in years. The same wagon shape that once carried families toward a new life is doing it again, just parked this time. Number 16. The Dignity Bus. In Florida, a nonprofit called The Source took a full-size coach bus, the kind you would ride to a casino or a football game, and gutted it. Inside, they built rows of private sleeping bunks with curtains, reading lights, air conditioning, and storage, watched over by an attendant all night. The bus parks in the evening, and people who would otherwise sleep behind dumpsters climb aboard into a clean, safe, cool bunk. For seniors and women especially, that locked bus door means the first real sleep in months. And because it is a vehicle, it can drive to wherever the need is worst that week. Somebody looked at a used bus and saw a bedroom for 20 people. But a safe bunk still leaves the small daily needs unsolved, and in Orlando the answer arrived disguised as a snack machine. Number 17. Hygiene vending machines. A local woman in Orlando donated a vending machine to a nonprofit called the Street Team Movement, assuming they would start a snack business. Instead, they stocked it with toothpaste, deodorant, ponchos, feminine products, and first aid supplies. Then they went out and asked homeless people what was still missing, and the answers floored them. Shoelaces, bus passes, the tiny things standing between a person and a job interview. So they created the Hope Card, which gives anyone in need free swipes every week, stocked entirely by donations. At 2 in the morning, when every shelter office in the city is dark, that machine is still standing there with a toothbrush and a pair of shoelaces waiting. Number 18. Dignity Moves Villages. Permanent, affordable housing in an American city can take a decade and millions of dollars per building to construct, while people die waiting on the sidewalk outside. A California nonprofit called Dignity Moves refused to accept that timeline. They take vacant lots, parking lots, and unused land, and in a matter of months they stand up entire interim villages of small private rooms, each with a locking door, a window, a bed, and a desk, plus shared bathrooms, dining areas, and on-site counselors. Not a cot in a crowded gymnasium, a room of your own while caseworkers help you find permanent housing. Speed, privacy, and dignity on land that was sitting there doing nothing. Number 19. The Portland Loo. This one sounds almost funny until you think it through. Public restrooms in American cities kept getting closed because of vandalism and crime, which left homeless people with no safe, legal place to simply use a toilet. So the city of Portland, Oregon, engineered a solution, a sleek steel restroom kiosk with angled slats at the top and bottom so police can see if something dangerous is happening, graffiti-resistant surfaces, and fixtures nearly impossible to break. It worked so well that cities across the United States and Canada now buy Portland loos for their own streets. It is not glamorous, but dignity often starts with the basics, and a safe restroom is about as basic as it gets. Number 20. The Way Home. The final invention is not something you can touch. It is a system, and it may be the most important item on this list. Houston, Texas connected every shelter, charity, church group, and government agency in the region into one shared data platform with one shared goal: Move people directly into permanent housing with support and stop making them jump through a maze of separate programs. Outreach workers coordinate in real time so nobody gets visited twice while someone 3 blocks away gets missed for weeks. The results made national headlines. Tens of thousands of people housed, and overall homelessness in Houston cut by more than half while it climbed in other major cities. Every coat, shower truck, and tiny home on this list saves lives one at a time. Houston proved that when Americans coordinate, we can save them by the thousands. So what do all 20 of these have in common? Not one of them started with a government committee. They started with a student who listened, a dad with a used truck, a producer on a bicycle, grandmothers with crochet hooks, and a man who missed his uncle. Ordinary Americans who saw someone sleeping in the cold and refused to walk past. If you or someone you love is struggling right now, remember the Veterans Blueprint is waiting in the description, written for people who need a way forward and do not know where to start. And hit subscribe, because every week I cover real stories like these that the mainstream media walks right past. Now go watch the video on your screen.